we are going to talk about decalcification. So in histopathology, what we do is tissue processing, and in tissue processing there are many different steps. Among them is decalcification. So before decalcifying any tissue, we have to make sure that it is fully fixed. Okay, we have to try and fixing, and I'm not going to talk about fixation. I'm only going to talk about decalcification. Okay, so what you need first is the decalcifying agent. So we have to try and decalcifying agent, and we have to choose, putting into consideration what we're going to investigate afterwards, and how much time we have, and what staining methods are we going to use, because all of that can affect the decalcifying agents that you use. Okay, so I will talk about the food decalcifying agents that we have. Okay, so the first one that I will is called the best decalcifying agent is EDTA. So there are 3 types of decalcifying agents. There are weak acids, strong acids, then chelating agents, and electrophoresis methods. Okay, so among them, the weak acids or the strong acids, we use formic acid, we use nitric acid. That's the main ones used. And also for chelating agents, we use EDTA. So for EDTA, that is the one that is called one of the best. So, but the problem is that it takes 6 to 8 weeks. So how can you wait for 6 to 8 weeks when you give a patient maybe 72 hours to come back and get their results? So according to what you're going to investigate and how much time that you have for processing, you choose accordingly. So for me today, I chose formic acid as my decalcifying agent. But the problem is that I don't have a bony tissue or a tube. So just for the sake of showing you how it's done and what needs to be done, I'm just going to use the tissue that I have. And I say, if you remember what I said, first was that you need to make sure that your tissue has been fully fixed, and there are different fixing methods, but make sure that you don't use acidic fixation. So maybe you can use formalin, neutral formalin. Okay, so this one is fixed in neutral formalin, and it's already ready for decalcifying. Okay, so before decalcifying, you have to make sure that everything is around where you need. So we need to make 5% formic acid. So I've already made 5% formic acid. So you need 5 ml in 95, 5 ml formic acid in 95%, 5 ml in 95 ml distilled water. So I've already made my 5%. It's in here. Then when you're done, you take the tissue and place it in formic acid. It has to be submerged in the formic acid. Then you leave it. Okay, so this is not a bone tissue. This is not a teeth. This is not something that has calcium in it. It's just for the sake of showing you that this is how it's done. So you leave it. So for this method, it takes 3 to 7. It takes 3 to 7 days for it to complete. So it's one of the long processes. So you use it according to how much time that you have. So while we're talking about decalcifying, while we wait for 7 days, I'm going to tell you about how we check the endpoint for decalcification. So there are 3 methods that you have to do. Since this is not a bony tissue, I'm not going to do endpoint testing because it already doesn't get calcium in it. Okay, so what you have to do, there are 3 methods. I will talk about the least used first. So one method is X-ray method. For X-ray method, it's not usually used. First, because it's expensive. Second, because when you use fixatives that has mercury chloride in it, it's not feasible. It's not convenient to use X-ray. But also, we can also use physical methods, where we take a needle and punch the tissue or probe the tissue. But that method is not convenient also because it breaks the tissue. And also you could do what we call bending, where you take the tissue and just squeeze it a little bit. But then this method also is not is not normally used. What we normally use is alchemical methods.